Darling, I told them your name. Then this happened. I should have stayed quiet. That was my first thought when it all started. I should have kept your name safe, locked inside my chest, like I always did. But something came over me. Maybe it was pride. Maybe it was love. Maybe I just got tired of hiding how much you mean to me. All I know is I said your name out loud in front of them, and everything shifted. It wasn't supposed to be deep, just a casual conversation, really. A few people talking about relationships, who's seeing who's real, and who's just pretending. They were all laughing, playing around, until someone turned to me and asked, "What about you? You still with that girl?" Or whatever. I could have laughed it off, shrugged, changed the subject, but I didn't. I said your name, plain and clear. I even said, yeah, I'm with her. And she's more than just some girl. Everything stopped for a second. You know that awkward pause in a room when something too real slips out? That's what happened. A few of them exchanged looks. One raised an eyebrow, and then it started. "Oh, her?" One of them leaned back and said, "You know what people say about her, right?" I felt my stomach turn because I already knew what was coming. They started throwing little comments, quiet ones, just loud enough to sting, about how you carry yourself, about things you did before you even met me, about the kind of attention you get, the kind of confidence you walk with. "She's too loud, she's too proud. She's not the kind of girl you settle down with." It was like they'd been waiting for the moment. I'd bring you up so they could tear you down, and I just sat there, at first, listening, trying to process how people who barely know you could speak on you like they had any right to. Then something in me snapped. I stood up, not yelling, not angry, just clear. I said, "You don't know her. You know rumors. You know surface level stuff. But I know who she really is." They laughed. One of them said, "Relax, man. We're just joking." But it didn't feel like a joke. It felt like disrespect. The kind that wears a smile just to make the sting feel less cruel. So I walked out. I left that place, still hearing your name in their mouths like it was something small. But to me, your name means everything, and I couldn't let them hold it with dirty hands. When I stepped outside, the air felt colder than it should have, not because of the weather, but because of what I was carrying inside. I walked for a while, no direction, just needed to move, needed to calm the storm building in my chest. I kept thinking about your face, your smile, your laugh, and how they spoke about you like you were a rumor, not a person. Like you were a headline and not someone I love. It made me sick. I should have defended you harder. I should have shut it down faster. But you know what stopped me for a second? Just a second. I hesitated. I let their words hang in the air while I tried to explain you, like I had to make you make sense to them. And that's the part I regret the most. Because the truth is, you don't need explaining. You are who you are. Unapologetic, beautiful, complex. And maybe that bothers people who can only handle simple. You shine too loud for people who live in the shadows. That's not your fault. So I kept walking, and then something strange happened. My phone buzzed. It was one of them. The same person who threw the first comment in the group. The message just said, "Hey man, I didn't mean to cross a line. She just seems different, like too good for this mess we're in." You're lucky. I get it now. I read that message twice, and that's when I realized they weren't tearing you down because they hated you. They were tearing you down because they didn't understand you, because you stood for something they weren't ready to see, because you challenged what they thought women were supposed to be. Quiet, small, easy. But you You walk with power. And that makes people uncomfortable when they're still stuck in places you already outgrew. So I replied, "You're right. She is too good for this. And she chose me anyway. Don't speak on her again." I put my phone in my pocket, walked a bit more, then sat on a bench near the park. And I just thought about you. Thought about how you'd react. If I told you all this, would you be mad? Would you tell me not to care what people think? Or would you just hold my hand and say, "Thank you for not letting them shrink me"? Whatever it would be, I knew one thing for sure. Your name in my mouth will always be sacred. When I got home that night, I found your sweater on the back of my chair. The one you always leave behind like a secret, like a quiet way of saying, "I'll be back." And I don't know why, but just seeing it there brought something heavy and warm into my chest. I sat down next to it, ran my fingers along the sleeve, and I thought, you have no idea what just happened. You didn't hear your name in their mouths. You didn't feel how my jaw clenched when they laughed. You weren't there when they called you too much like it was a flaw. But you will know, because I'll tell you. I won't protect you by staying silent. I'll protect you by being loud where it counts. And right now, that means showing up for you, even when you don't know you need it. So I called you. You answered with your usual soft hey, like you could already tell something was different. I didn't waste time. I told them about you. I said, "You went quiet, just a second. Then, what did you say?" "Your name," I told you, "and everything good that comes with it." Another pause. Then you asked, "And what did they say?" I didn't lie. I told you how it went. The jokes, the looks, the silence that followed when I stood up. I told you everything. You didn't say anything for a while. I thought maybe you were upset. Maybe I shouldn't have said your name at all. But then you said something I didn't expect. "Thank you for not shrinking me to fit their comfort." That's all. But it was enough to wipe out the noise of that whole room. You weren't hurt. You were seen. Finally, fully. And that meant everything to me. Then you said something else. "I've lost people for being exactly who I am. I got tired of trying to be soft in places that didn't deserve me. But with you, it's like I don't have to hide anymore." And in that moment, I felt it. All of this, the awkward stares, the tension, the unspoken jealousy, it was all worth it, because I didn't choose the easy path. I chose the right one. I chose you. After our call ended, I just sat there, phone on my lap, your words still echoing in my head. "I've lost people for being exactly who I am." That line stayed with me, because deep down I knew how true it was. I remember the first time I really saw you. Not just your face, not just the way you carry yourself like you've got armor under your skin, but the real you. The one who keeps her guard up because she's had too many people try to dull her shine. You didn't come to me easy. You came slow, cautious, testing me with silence before you gave me your trust. And now I understand why. Because the world doesn't know what to do with a woman like you. They either try to change you or control you. And when they fail, they blame you for being difficult, for being too proud, too bold, too smart, too independent. But what you really are is free, and that scares them. So yeah, when I said your name, I knew what I was doing. I knew I was opening the door for opinions, for whispers, for cheap jokes from people who will never know the depth of you. But I also knew, if I didn't say your name, they'd never know what love really sounds like. Because when I speak about you, it's not just words, it's a stand. You're not just someone I'm talking to, you're someone I'm choosing, every day, even when it's inconvenient. even when people don't understand, even when it makes the room go quiet. And you know what? Since that night, things have shifted. Some of those people who used to joke, they don't call like they used to. They don't bring her name up again. They keep their comments in their throats now, because they saw I wasn't backing down. And maybe I've lost a few people over it. But I'd rather lose people who can't handle your name than lose you trying to protect their comfort. Because love, real love, doesn't hide. It walks straight into fire if it has to. And I'll walk into every fire this world has. If it means keeping your name protected in my mouth. You came over the next evening. No makeup. Huggy, hair tied up like you didn't care. And still you walked in like a storm, wrapped in softness. The kind of presence that makes everything feel real, even in silence. You didn't say much at first. You just walked in, kicked your shoes off, and looked at me like you already knew something was weighing on my chest. I handed you a glass of water. You took it, sat down, then asked, "You still thinking about what they said?" I nodded, "Yeah, but not in a bad way anymore." You tilted your head a little, curious, but calm. "I'm thinking about how fast people show their true colors when you speak someone's truth out loud," I said. "You say someone's name with love, and suddenly people start acting like it threatens them." You leaned back, arms folded, just listening. And I realized, I continued, it's because they're not used to seeing love without conditions. They're not used to someone defending a woman who doesn't shrink herself. You smiled. The small kind, the honest kind. Then you said, "I used to think love like that only existed in books." You made me think maybe it's real. That broke something open in me. Because I know how many times you've been disappointed. How many times people said, "I love you," but couldn't stand beside you when things got uncomfortable. So I sat next to you, and I told you the truth. I didn't say your name to show off. I said it because it deserves to be said, with pride, with clarity. Not behind closed doors, not in texts out loud, so people know who I stand beside. You looked at me, and I could tell that hit you deep. Then you reached into your hoodie pocket and pulled out something small, a folded piece of paper. "I wasn't going to give you this yet," you said, "but I think you're ready." I took it, hands shaking a little, and opened it slowly. It was a note, short, handwritten, and it said, "You're the first person I don't feel the need to explain myself to." My throat tightened. I looked up, and you just nodded, like you finally saw what I've been trying to show you all along, that this isn't about proving anything to anyone. It's about finally being somewhere you don't have to fight to be understood. And that's when I realized, saying your name wasn't just about you, it was about me too.